Hello everyone. This is the big one. This is the 2025 Heroscape release rankings. There are 25 releases as far as I'm aware, at least according to BGG. If I missed some, please let me know. I think I got them all, like for sure. But rating, this is gonna be a bit of a longer one. So 25 entries, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but I will do my best to give an opinion. 25. This is the glyph pack for sure. I don't usually play with glyphs. I do in the tournaments and a couple times when we practice for tournaments. And now for the scenario that I'm playing, I think that they do kind of add a little bit of fun. I know that they have them so that you don't just kind of camp in your start zone or whatever, but I don't feel like it's necessary. And this pack specifically doesn't have everything from what I understand. And that seems against the whole point. So didn't do its job. 25. 24. This is kind of sad, but it's the truth. Zed Nesbit is not useful. It is impossible to store, which you might be able to see it behind me really tinily. Like it's back there in the plastic, but it is so hard to store, and it is not useful at all. I know it has a common squad coming that it can bond with, but it's just not very good. It has a range thing, which is good, but only one ranged attack. And if you bond with something, you can kind of move a couple people, but then you want to drop them off before you crash. But once you crash, you're pretty done. Like if you're even lucky enough to find a place, when I've used Zed Nesbit, trying to find a place to crash to do a lot of damage to a lot of people is not very easy, and you're relying again on a single roll to do well, and everybody gets to defend, and it's just not very good. It's kind of sad. It's like the only vehicle, and it's not good. Um, Number 23. This is Imperator Kane. I know that it has some uses. I think it's worth its points sometimes. When I've played it, it tends to die way too fast to do anything. That same bonding squad should make this figure much better. I do think that I misunderstood the stomp power initially. I didn't realize you could keep moving. Or if I did, a lot of times maybe you can't keep moving. But I think that the new squad allows Kane to disengage, which should help a lot. So I think this one's going to shoot up. But for now, I have not enjoyed using it. And it's not been worth 130 points. Maybe a good finishing unit, but not going to do anything else. Number 22, more of the Void. This is the Tuck/Strikers box. I have tried to make these work more than the other two, and I do think that sometimes you can get lucky and have them come in and really hinder an opponent's army, but it is more often than not going to happen. I've had it happen maybe 1 in 5 times on a good example. They just aren't that good. And I think that the strategy against the strikers are just so obvious. You want to land them on height and get a shot and hopefully kill something, but you get one shot. You have to keep putting order markers on them to get them all out. But if you're the opponent, you're almost certainly going to just try to kill the ones that exist on the field already to keep them limited. If you let them all out and have 4 attacks, on height, then that's a bit tougher. But even still, even if you did, they're not that good compared to other stuff. But pretty much done with that. 21, I have the Ruins terrain. I actually don't have this, but I would very much like it. I think it's more expensive than some of the other packs, if I recall. And I would really enjoy getting my hands on this. I haven't heard of any issues with it, though I have not played with them in any tournaments, so I'm not sure how common their usage is. I know that they're new, and tournament maps are usually old. But really interesting. Anything terrain isn't usually essential for long-term play. Not tournament play, especially, but maybe over time, the usage of it would come out more than specific characters because you're going to add things to your maps all the time. I just don't think that terrain is make or break for anything, so I still think it's pretty good. I would like to try this one specifically. Number 20, this is another terrain pack. This is Swamp. I actually do have this one. I was able to get a decent deal on it. And it's not super useful because I already had the original master set with Swamp pieces. But it does come with some Swamp bushes, which are kind of okay. And it does have, I think, 3 Hex Swamp Water. So it's more of stuff that already exists. The small trees are kind of nice looking. I think Swamp Water is fun because you don't have to stop your movement in it, and it still counts as water. And let's see, up to 19. I have the Oathbound army set. This is the Phalanx and I think the Legionnaires, I think is what they're called. And I really do like these. I think that they're fun, but they are often not essential to any army, and I don't know that they'd be my first choice as like a part B of an army. If you have a 500 part army and you've got like 300-ish or so points in your main stuff, I feel like you might as well just go more into that, or maybe pick somebody else for your other 200 points or whatever they come out to be. Really cool little guy, the Phalanx, and it has some utility in using the other army card to send out guys and stuff. However, I think most of the time when I've used it, I find that it gets hurt and doesn't actually get its full utility out of it. And I think the new gallery box has kind of replaced it for me, at least. Obviously, it has its different species and stuff, but it has the Krakenlings. I think are just much better than the Phalanx, and they're cheaper. And I don't need to have two units. I think I'd rather just have the Krakenling. I think it's replaced that unit for me, at least mentally. I've seen it work really well. But yeah, so that one. And then number 18. This is one I could certainly use more experience with. This is the new Pirates, the Dreadnoughts and Crimson Widow. I was really excited for this set. I thought it would change up everything. You know, I thought it would give us a good reset and really boost the Pirates and maybe add in some people that weren't typically Pirates. And I'm not saying it can't do that, but it seems to be a little convoluted, I guess. And a lot of the squads that it can bring on, I don't know if they're really that good. I do have some more ideas to try with it. I would like to try the Wraith Riders, actually, and see, because those are one of the only unique squads that I think really have a lot of utility that could be used even without a bonding champion or hero, whatever you want to call it. So I think that maybe they're better than I'm giving them credit for, but I haven't seen any usefulness of it really yet. And I really thought it would change things up, give us some different builds. And I'm not saying that it hasn't, but just not to the extent that I'd hoped for. And 17, this is one that I think I was actually a little low on initially, and this is Sonlin and Halucia. Tough name. I didn't find any armies to put them in initially, and as I've played, I've found some, and more releases have come out that have made them a little bit more usable. For Sonlin, there's the Scions, like I talked about before. I don't think that that's the best way to go with it, but I think it's something. And Halucia now has more bonding units with it, so I think that this one is getting better, and I do think that they are worth, at least Halucia is worth its points. And fun to use. I think they're both fun to use. And 16, this is a promo figure, and this is one of the highest, if not the highest, Vord I have on the list, and this is Decker. This kind of reminds me, again, kind of like the Krakenling, where it moves 4 but ignores elevation. And I guess there's a couple other figures that do this too. But shoots in a straight line, which kind of has some fun to it. It's a little hard to set up, but sometimes other units move characters now, and you can kind of find a way to make it work. And for 65 points, I feel like he's worth that. And it's a fun little character to try to do stuff with. I think that's a fun promo, and I think he comes unpainted. I can't remember now. It's been a while. I think he does, and I wish that they didn't do that. All right, number 15. This is one that I've been talking about a little bit that's made a lot of other stuff better, and that's the Heroes of Arboreus. Give or take, I'm pronouncing to the best of my ability. But a lot of unique stuff in there. There's more small beasts to bond with our other units that we've already had, and some more people to use those units with. And the one character that lets you use 2 of those small beasts in a turn. Cool pack. I haven't played with them a ton or played it even against them that much, but all really unique, and I think that they will all add their own value and are more interesting and better off than some of the other characters that we've talked about. And even some of the characters I've talked about in past videos or ones that came out earlier, I think that they're more worth that. I think that box is a tad more expensive than some of the other boxes, which is I wasn't thrilled about. But a lot of their sizing in that box is really big. I don't know if they're actually listed as large or huge, but there's a couple that are quite large that I think drive up the cost of this box, and I don't really feel like there should have been any reason for that. But good stuff. Number 14, I have a terrain pack. This is the Snowfields. I do have some old ice and stuff, but I think this is one where they've kind of, I think, getting used a lot, and they get worn out. And having a new, cheaper way to get them is good. And it has new snow trees and stuff, which I think look really nice. I don't think we had snow trees before. We had glaciers. And I think I like the snow trees. I think that that's just nice looking. And they do kind of have usefulness in-game outside of just looks. Ice has different things. I know in tournament settings we don't use that, so I haven't really used them for those, but I think they look nice and they add an element to the game that's a little different than just a little bit of swamp. I think ice is just more differentiated than a different type of grass or water. All right, continuing again. 13, I have the road terrain. I actually pre-ordered this one. They canceled my pre-order though, so I actually don't have it, but I will. It comes with 2 bridges, and the bridge is probably my favorite classic piece of terrain that I have. I have 1. So getting 2 in this box, I think really makes up for not having the figures that they had in the classic box. And I think that the bridge really just makes the terrain. So that's why I have a custom bridge, I guess. And 12, another terrain set. This is the lava fields. This is probably for me higher because I have had a hard time getting the old lava. It's been the hardest one for me to get. I have ice and snow. It was probably more expensive than the lava, but I have it. But the lava and stuff seems, as far as I can tell, seems like it was the most fragile of the classic stuff. So getting new ones is pretty ideal. It still has the lava terrain crop stuff, so I think these add more of a danger to the battlefield, and I think that's fun, especially with the new sets where you can move figures and stuff. I think those are by far the most interesting gameplay wise. All right, and then I have number 11, the Archer and Scions Common Squad Army Pack. A lot of words. So I like these, but the Scions are too expensive, as everybody has pointed out. So much so that I had forgotten their names in my little tournament video that I did. And you can't... I don't know. So far, I haven't found a way to make them super useful. I know that they can be kind of cool or useful in weird formats that just aren't going to typically be used. And the archers, the longbows, or whatever they want to be called, they're huge. They're too big. I think that they're really cool idea of a power. I tried to make them like my Army Corps in a tournament back in November, I think it was, and it didn't work. I think it could have. I had my last game where I was crushing it and then just struck out. Uh, Perfect defense rules killed it, but I think that they are a great accessory squad to throw in. Like if you had however many points at the end of what you're building, they are great because they add a lot of threat range, and if they don't move, they can get a nice attack boost. So I think just as a core, having only two of them really limits them, and you have to hit those. And if you don't hit both of them, you're going to be in trouble. All right, then number 10. This is another common army squad. This is the Acolytes and the Gravegrim. I really liked both to start, and I've played with Gravegrim more and more, and I think it can work to, again, get some of those Acolytes out onto the field, but you're going to use order markers on it. Points-wise, it's not bad. I think if you're going to use the Acolytes, you're probably only going to use one anyway. And I found other interesting ways to move them up rather than using the Gravegrim. When I played in a tournament, I think it was back in September, I had watched one of the highest rated, at least at the time, highest rated people on the Battle Network. I was playing against him. His name's Ethan. And I watched him move his Iron Lich out of the start zone and then shoot his own his own figures, and I had never seen that before. It was like a brain melting move to me. I was like, "What? You're gonna hurt your own guys?" And now I do that kind of stuff all the time, trying to figure out how to do it. In my own little tournament that I just did, I used the Hellforge, and I surrounded the Hellforge in the start zone so that when I moved him, I could try to kill them with his his ability, and it does work. It's really dumb, but it's a lot of fun, and I know that they're annoying to play against. I think that box is pretty good, and you don't have to buy a lot of them to make it good, so even better. Number 9, this one is probably one that should be higher for me, but when I wrote this, I didn't have all the experience I have now. Things change, but I don't love them for some reasons. But this is the Gelry and Krakenling common box. So I can't say common squad because Krakenling is not a squad. But I lost the next tournament. Also, a couple people, but Ethan again, using these Gelry, and they are just so hard to take down with 4 of them in a squad, and they move in between rounds, or I guess at the end of placing your order markers, so kind of before the round starts. And the Krakenlings are just really good. This box is really solid. I think I probably should have bought more of these rather than the Archers and Scions. I gambled that the Archers would be better and would be able to pick off the Gelry, but even if I only hit, if I'm using 2 Archers and I hit 2 Gelry, that's still half a squad that's coming at you. And I think that they're really solid. My big complaint for both of these, figures that come in this box is that they don't fit next to each other on the hexes very well. They're too big. Medium figures that half of their sculpt is in the next hex over, or diagonal hexes away from each other. And the Krakenling is a little bit easier. It has the tentacles that shoot straight out, but you can kind of turn it around backwards, and it tends to be fine, but it's a minor problem. And I do think that they helped Awashia from the Battle Box, who I was really into and really excited about. So that is pretty exciting. So I do like this box. I wish it was a little bit better in that regard, sizing-wise. And it is so annoying to play against. When I was playing in the tournament against it, waiting for like 30 figures to move at the start of the round felt like forever. I was like, I don't even know who moved anymore. It took so long that it's kind of annoying to play against. And if I'm being honest, when I've done it myself, like having to move all of the figures on the field is a little annoying. Very useful, but just a little annoying. Just tedious. All right, then number 8. This is actually one that I haven't played with as of yet in my army, but I've played against it a couple times in 1 or 2 tournaments, and I've seen in those tournaments when I've had buys, I've seen it used. This is the Raylan promo. I guess this is her fourth iteration, I think, Raylan 4. And it's, I think, 105 points, and she can kind of be the defending cheerleader of whatever figure gets hit if they're within her range of, I think it's like 4 or 5. And she will come up and try to do an automatic wound on them, and that is really cool. What a fun promo. These promos that Renegade's been doing have been really cool for me. Like, I've enjoyed all of them for different reasons. I don't think there's one that it's been a total miss for me. I've found all these figures to be pretty excellent, especially for a free thing, you know, theoretically. Anyway, so number 7, this is another one. This is Thyraxis. I actually used him in my tournament when I went to Lakeland, and I did get a win off. I did have a couple close fights, but didn't pull it off. And now he's going to have a common squad coming out this year. I think this is the best figure. Like, if we're going one-on-one, I think that this is the best figure in this. Of course, with a bonding, like going up against somebody one-on-one who has a bonding squad, and, you know, 6 people on one probably isn't going to do it. But head-to-head, one-on-one, I think that Thyraxis is probably the best figure. And interesting sculpt. I'm really disappointed that they didn't paint him at all. But pretty cool guy. That's my son laughing. I think that Thyraxis is going to be a big one for me that I'm going to use all the time. And number 6, this is another promo, because I guess I put things in groups. This is the Major Q11. The old Majors were a lot of fun and powerful, and this one is as well. You can totally whiff and die, but I have found more often than not he holds on and is fun. They've added a couple powers that are really cool. You've got like a ranged ability that can do a couple of different things from different ranges. I think it's like 4 dice, 3 dice, and 2 dice from really close to farther away. And I found that to be a lot of fun to play with. And then if you hit an adjacent figure, you can do a damage to a figure adjacent to, I think, another figure adjacent to him also, or adjacent to the person you're hitting. I'm not sure. And that's been a lot of fun too. I feel like that means when you get swarmed, you can potentially kill off 2 people that are attacking you at the same time. So that's another fun one. And then number 5, this is a single army expansion pack. This is the Hellforge. I was just talking about this a couple people ago, a couple figures. I have thoroughly enjoyed Hellforge. It has the same problem hex-wise as the Krakenlings, where the front of the figure is kind of in the next hex, but you can kind of turn it around backwards, and it's not quite as big of a deal as some of the other figures. It is very chunky and like heavy. I have had it like randomly fall because somebody like bumps the table and it just topples over, and it's kind of like a ball. But it's a lot of fun to play with. I have had the Hellforge steal a whole game on more than one occasion. It's able to burn alive anything that it comes next to, and potentially can eat it to heal. And that is so much fun. It is a really interesting idea, and a bonding with the Iron Lich is a lot of fun. I wish that I could play in a tournament that had points total to where I could have the Hellforge and Scavarith and the Wraith Riders, and then unfortunately in 500-point armies you kind of have to choose one. But a really good one. I think that was worth the $30 or whatever by itself. All right, number 4. This is Knight Primus and the Ordo Borealis. More bears. I think that the bears in the original master set, or not the original, but the new master set, were annoyingly the best. Boring to play, boring to fight, but frustrating nonetheless. And this adds some variety to that and changes it up just a little bit. Knight Primus is more fun. I think his auto wound ability is pretty scary to play against and fun to play as. And the Ordo having the range option is pretty cool. I think that they can be very better than I expected if you can get them kind of set up maybe in the beginning. I don't know when that right time is because I've seen doing the same exact thing sometimes doesn't work and sometimes I guess it just depends on the opponent. But you can kind of set up maybe in the beginning of the game to get partially in field. So when battles start, you can kind of fire off 3 decent range attacks. But generally a good box. I don't think it's overly amazing. I think it's really solid though. And again, more variety for that army pack, which I guess I could say the same thing for Hellforge and Scavarith and Iron Lich. You can kind of customize the build a little bit better. So it's not necessarily a shoe-in. But also not necessarily required because there's no bonding with the Ordo. You can the Frost Claws can bond with Knight Primus, but the Ordo don't bond. All right, so the number 3, this is another single army pack. This is Scavarith. This one is, you know, the other Isonek figure, and this one is such a lethal offensive weapon that I would actually say that this might be underrepresented point wise. I think it's 185, and this is the main fighter of your army who will take out everything, and if they don't, for whatever reason, you're probably not going to win because they are the driver of that offense. Being able to take 2 turns, especially if it's bonding with the Lich, where you have the Lich using a ranged attack, and then you're using the bonding to go with Scavarith, and then potentially using Scavarith's ability to go again, or using the Lich's ability to boost the Iron Injection or whatever it's called. And you can do that back to back on the same order marker usage. Well, I guess it's the whatever order marker and the X, but it's not really costing you anything. So 1 order marker, you're getting potentially 2 attacks with 7 is just ridiculous. It can ruin any well-laid plan. It is a monster. I thought Hellforge was great, and then Scavarith came out, and I was like, oh, Scavarith is kind of past Hellforge in that way that's probably the better choice, even though it costs, I think, like 40 points more, 35 points more, maybe. It's too dynamic because you don't know when that second attack, if 3 order markers are on the Lich and 1 is on this, you don't know when that second attack is coming. It could be right off the bat. It could be as soon as they get in range of numerous characters. You don't really want to move your main piece of your army anywhere within range because Scavarith can take out your best figure. And I've had it happen to me, and it sucks. It can be devastating. But very swingy, very fun, and it at least is interesting and makes a good story for the battle. But such a good offensive piece. It can be killed, but it takes some work because you're going to be really hurting by the time you get there. All right, so then number 2, this is another common army squad box. This is the Molten Crustaceans, the crabs, and the Tanuki. This is for a variety of reasons. The Tanuki obviously won the World Championships this last year. Like, I forget the stat. I think it was like 8 of the top 10 armies had Tanukis in them or something crazy. And they are a lot of fun being able to move people, moving out, you know, after their order marker, having range, having a pretty solid defense. I think the issue or the challenge with them is that they're another 2 squad figure. That's a bit of a challenge, but they are the best of the Vord so far, by far. That's not close. They don't bond or anything, but they can. I think they can kind of interplay with the other ones because they can move the other figures with their order markers, but not attack. So some interplay there, but they are really solid. I think they are probably going to be good for a long time. And then on the other side of it, you have the Molten Crustaceans that add terrain, kind of like Awashia, but with lava, different types of lava, which really changes the map. And I think that they are a perfect fit together because the Tanuki theoretically could move figures from something onto lava and damage other figures, which is I have done in things, and it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit of work having to maybe remove your terrain pieces after a match is over, but I think it's worth it. They are a lot of fun, and I've actually seen, like in person, I have seen people who were not interested in Heroscape see the crabs and buy the crab boxes just because of the translucent plastic and because they're crabs and cool looking. And I know that a lot of people were up in arms about the crabs for whatever reason, but they are probably good for the support of the game and getting people in. The more variety you have in a game like this, the more likely you are to catch somebody's attention and get them into it. Somebody that maybe isn't that interested in historical figures, for instance, might see cool bears or squirrels or crabs and be like, "Oh, what is that? I want to play with those." And I mean, I saw it firsthand with a couple different people in Lakeland actually, where people that were used to playing other kinds of games, like for instance board games, and they were interested, and then somebody who was there for Warhammer 40K or whatever went and bought crabs. Or these people who had just met, I watched go in and decided to split the box in half. They spent together, this young girl and her family and this other guy. The guy wanted the crabs because he thought they were cool, and the girl wanted the cute squirrels. The young, you know, the I think she was like a teenager or something. Wanted these squirrels, and they were playing board games, and they wanted to play these because of this pack. And that is so ridiculously important for getting people into this game that you're trying to build. And I think that they're interesting and fun to play with as they are. They don't have any synergy really, but you know they're making more, so anything can happen. And you can't really ask for much more from a single box. So that was number 2. Number 1, this is Queen Maledrix and her honor guard. This is a really solid army core in one box. My friend that I just played against, the last game that I played against with the archers, was running this. I ran it the previous tournament and got killed by Scavarith. And I think I was a really solid chance in that before Maledrix went down. But the reason I don't personally like to take Maledrix anymore is that tournament I could not fit anywhere on any of the maps that we play on. So I don't. She has like claws off to the side. It makes her hard to fit in. It's not impossible like a couple figures, but it is like a mildly annoying problem that I don't really want to play with her. She does have fun abilities. She does bond. She does have really solid stats. I think that she's the best overall box of the whole year because of what she can bring to the table. She packs a really heavy punch. I think she punches twice, and she also has the bonding, so the honor guard going. I think there's 5 of them, so you're getting like 7 attacks, which is really solid. And then you can potentially infest somebody that's killed an honor guard with Maledrix and just kill them like straight up. It doesn't happen a ton of the time. I've seen it happen like 3 times. I've done it to people like twice, like to Katie. I've done it twice, and it happened to me in my tournament in Lakeland, even though it shouldn't have. But it is another like, kind of like Scavarith, where it's a game changer. It will break the whole dynamic of the match, and it does it. And I think it does it in a way that you know it's coming, and it's still hard to stop, and it's just so good that it's hard to argue with it. I think that it's the best box. So that is all of them. Let me know how wrong I am. I know I rank promos high, but I think that they're just fun. So let me know. Terrain packs, again, generally low, but I have some higher ones here. I think these terrain packs are a little better than the 2024 releases. And this one is a lot more. There's 25 things. We have accessories. We have common squads, common heroes, single figure army packs, and all sorts of stuff. So let me know what you think.